Good evening, one and all. In today's session, we will start off with another Java technology used mainly for the front end, which connects you to the back end. Okay, you can use it in both ways, mainly for the back end actually. And we are going to design it using JSP, a login and sign up portal, which is responsive as well. And you'll have it on the same page, not like login is a separate page, sign up is a separate page, not like that. And also, since you all had time, I hope at least some of you all would have studied or gone through what is HTML and CSS in basics at least, so that it will help you when you're developing the front end of your project. So without further delay, let us start with JSP. Now, in the previous sessions, I remember that twice I've told you within a single sentence that what is the difference between servlet and JSP? Does anyone remember? Or do you remember the full form of JSP? Anyone? Or why we use it and how is it different from servlet? Anyone remembers? So JSP is usually used to combine the logic as well as the design in a single page. In servlets, minimum how many files do we need? Do you remember? Or which are the files? We need the HTML file, we need the servlet file with the extension .java, and another file, do you remember? Web.xml. Anyways, so now the purpose of JSP is to combine the design as well as the logic in the same page. That means HTML along with the Java backend, along with the web XML, which is not that significant, will be in a single page. That is, you have to write the front end as well as the backend, and you have to separate it within the same page. So that we will do it. Before that, let me show you that page that we are going to design today. So basically, I've designed it for the front end and back end also for the registration purpose, like creating the account for the platform. So that we'll see first. Later on, login, I have to still develop that. Front end is ready for login, back end is not. So this, as you can see, there is HTML also over here. Just adjusted the font size. I don't know till now how to change the font size. I have to check that out. This is the HTML part. And in between, you can see some part of JDBC over here and all. That means somewhere and somehow I'm going to separate it so that I have design as well as the backend in my single page. Now, if I run this, as you can see here, it is a JSP page. How? Because you can see here the extension of this home page is .jsp and not .html. It is .jsp, Java server pages. This is, you can toggle it. Login means only username password will be asked from the user. Sign up, this is a switching, like you know that whether you're going for login or sign up by clicking on this. And here you have to enter 4 details. You can add name also here. I didn't add name. So you can add whatever details you want. For example, I'll put any dummy email ID for now. Username, let me say my name only. Then phone number, let it be whatever it is. And password, let me write admin. Okay, so you remember that username is Joel and password is admin. Now, when I click on submit, one pop-up will come. Now it won't come, but I have to still implement that pop-up. And when you click on submit, it has got saved in the database and you come back to the login screen because you have created your account. There's no work remaining over there now. Now you have to log in because account is created. After that is login. So automatically you'll come to the login. I did not click on login. After sign up, I clicked on submit and automatically it came on login. Now see, in the database, when I select from the table, you will be able to see that just now what I entered over here. Can you see this? The fourth row, the same details which I had entered in the sign up page. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So this was not there before. Okay. Now see, there are 4 rows. Again, I'll register and show you so that you know that fifth row is going to come. Sign up. I'll enter xyz at gmail.com. You can also add Google authentication and all those things. Username, let it be my surname, phone number, and password. It can be anything like that. And then submit. Now it automatically came on login, and you can see now when I select everything from users, you can see fifth row has been added. Is it visible? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this is what
Yes,
you
sir.
can, yeah, you can do it. Now how to do it is, now what I've done is to make the designing part simpler, you have to open your files in VS Code. Means you have to create the front end in the VS Code because their autocomplete and all such features are there. It gives you suggestions in a better way. And then you can simply copy this whole code and create the files in the Eclipse IDE. That is one best way I feel, because if you directly do it in Eclipse IDE, it is quite time consuming and you won't have a good experience in doing that. Okay, so the front end part is not what I usually explain, but just in brief, I'll tell you. You can also do it this way. If you open your page in your browser and click on inspect, then you can hover your mouse pointer over different parts, and then you'll get to see the different sections. What is the structure and what is the actual layout and like all those things. You can click anywhere on inspect. You'll get to see that these are two boxes actually, which have been laid out properly and all. And yeah, I've used Flexbox and all those CSS concepts so that it is responsive. And background image, I have set it. So this button that you can see, login and sign up, is actually for this button, login and sign up. Then you can see the form, that is to accept the username and password. This is the login part. There is another form for what? For registration, sign up, which has more number of fields. So depending on which button is clicked, whether the login button is clicked over here or whether the sign up, depending on login, if login you're clicking, then this form one will appear. If I click on sign up, then the other form will appear. So I'm going to change the visibility. Depending on the button clicking, the visibility will change. If I click on login button, then only form one will be visible in the same space. If I click on this, then only form 2 will be visible in the same space. And I've done it in such a way that this login and sign up thing and the submit button, their position does not change. Only the fields keep changing. So that gives a better experience as well. Like it looks good also. And then a bit of JavaScript for the toggling feature. When you have to toggle means just switching from one state to another state. When you click on this, nothing should happen because it's already there. When you click here, this blue thing should come on the right hand side and the form should change. So that is what I've done using JavaScript. So I'm going to identify the tags using the IDs and the classes, if you know what I'm talking about. And then on click, I'm going to toggle. And on click, I'm going to see a display sign up form displays none when login is clicked. And when sign up is clicked, sign up form display inline means it will be displayed, and the login should be display none. When the sign up is on, sign up should be displayed, login should be hidden. That means display none. And when login is on the front side, that is what you want to do. That time login should be displayed and sign up display should be none. So such simple logics you have to implement. This is also within a function only. Just instead of if else, what you're doing, you're setting the attributes to different values. You're not using if else here. And on click, how do I know? Here I've written on click, this should happen like that. Okay. So this is quite simple CSS and HTML. CSS is in this file. I'm going to link the file. If you don't have CSS, then I can show you how the form looks. See, there's nothing attractive about this form. If I remove the CSS, and you can see here, both the forms are one below the other. Only through CSS, you can display the form when you click the buttons. That means what is required, that form should get displayed. Without the CSS, see, this is such a plain thing. This is your pure HTML. And what I show here is your HTML plus CSS. So have you understood how attractive CSS makes your form and all that? Is it clear till now? So
Yes.
is this
Yes.
attractive? Like, did you like this
Yes.
idea, the design, or Like, what is your comment about this? Is it good?
Yes, sir, it is attractive and it's
Yes.
looking good.
Yes. And usually
Yes, the
the,
background is also very good.
yeah. And you can apply filters to your background also. Like if you can see, the login page is a bit on the top, like it is bright, and the background have put some darkness, like they have changed the RGB scale for that. And this toggling feature is not through JavaScript, okay? It is through transition, CSS transitions, animations that you have in CSS. And only on click, the transition should happen. So JavaScript is not implementing the toggling feature. It is only going to allow that feature to happen when you click. Okay, that is the thing. JavaScript is not responsible for the toggling. It is only responsible for on click, the toggle should happen. On click events. That is what JavaScript is doing for me. Okay, so, and this login, once you create it, you can use it in different projects. Not that every time you'll have to write the code from scratch. Only some designing or some color combinations that you can change, and you'll have your new login page. And there's some box shadow also here, so that the user knows he can click on this. And when you hover your mouse on this, the hand shape, the mouse shape is what, triangular. When you click on the text, it is like an capital I. When you click on any button thing, it is a hand like. Okay, so these things also help the user to understand whether it is clickable or not. Okay, so this was about the front end, which we are not that interested in. It is optional how you want to do it. Now the back end part, before that some theory. Now in servlets, why we studied servlets when JSP is so convenient and less time consuming? Because in servlets, one more thing you need to notice, in servlets also you can have Java along with HTML, but whatever HTML you want in your servlet file, it should always be written inside the println. Okay, I have not created a PPT, so just adjust with these images. Can you see this println, and inside that within the quotes the HTML tags are there? Are you seeing it? Is it, do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, within the println, the HTML tags are there. That means what? If you are implementing servlets, then Java is normal. And if you want HTML, it should come inside the Java println function. That means Java, inside Java, HTML. But in JSP, the thing is reversed. That means outside your normal HTML, and if you want Java or whatever JDBC, then it should come within particular tags. Okay, so note this difference, that in servlets, the main thing is Java and HTML is like inside. You need to use something in order, you need to write it in a proper way so that you can have the HTML inside Java. But if you want Java as the, you can say the secondary thing, your main thing is design. Design is the main thing, direct you can write HTML. But if you want Java, you have to go to the tags. This is the main difference. Now, if we, this is so convenient because mainly the backend thing is really less complex. But front end designing really a lot, as you can see. And backend is just here a little bit. That is why JSP is more convenient if your front end is huge. Because if your front end is huge and you're using servlet, what you'll have to do, all these tags have to come inside println, which is very annoying to do. It is very time consuming and not that easy to do. So the main purpose of studying servlets and then Java server pages is, internally whatever you write JSP in this file, internally it will be converted into a servlet. Okay, what did I say? Whatever JSP you write, internally it will be converted into a servlet, and then the Tomcat server can understand that servlet and perform all that operations. Tomcat cannot understand JSP. Tomcat can understand only servlet. That is why internally JSP will get converted into servlet, and servlet will be understood by Tomcat, and Tomcat will be able to process the things. And Tomcat does not understand HTML, CSS, and all that. Tomcat only understands the Java code. Only it can process the Java code. The HTML tags that you can see, then and the CSS, then who does that? How does the HTML and CSS become so attractive and design the front end? Do you know who does that? Who understands the HTML tags? Who understands the CSS and brings it to this form? Do you know who does that? It is not the Tomcat server. It is someone else. Anyone? Any guesses? If you have studied HTML, CSS, you may be knowing it. Okay, the answer is the browser. Not the server, not the computer, nothing. It's the browser. The browser, whichever you're using, Netscape, Navigator, Internet Explorer, the outdated ones, or the new versions like Chrome, Mozilla, Firefox, Safari, whichever ones you want, Opera, they have the capabilities to understand HTML. That is why when you right click on any HTML page, this is also something which is in a browser. So it also has HTML, this Google Meet platform. And you click on view page source. As you can see, there is some JavaScript over here and see some tags are there for JavaScript. And usually what happens is such a secure platforms here you can see head and some body will also be there. You can see the different tabs over here. See, these are some tags that come in the head section to link your CSS. And some script tags and all. Similarly, you can see there is so much over here. Okay, so somewhere there is a body tag. I cannot find it and show you now. But HTML comes from the server to your client machine in the browser. This is coming from the server, all this code. It has not been processed by the server because this is HTML. These are the tags. It will come to your browser and the browser will understand and it will show it in this format. Okay, anyways. So for the server to understand, it has to be in the form of servlet, but it is difficult for you to write servlet. That is why it will come. You have to do it in the form of JSP. Now, carefully observe this thing, how the JSP gets converted into servlet. This is not quite a good image, but try to understand. See, in your servlet, what all you have? In your servlet, you have a particular import statements you have. Then you have a class, which extends the HTTP servlet. All this you have to write on your own if you are using servlet. Then inside you have a service method, you have multiple methods, and here you have some data members, which is within the part outside the service. Within the class outside the service method, then you have certain print things that you want to do, print some things, and all these things. So all this is a pure Java file. This will be the form of your JSP internally. Okay. So now, if you want to convert it, you want to understand how it gets converted. Whatever import statements you have at the top, if you want to write that in JSP, you have to use this directive tag. What is it? Angular bracket, or you can say less than symbol, percentage, @ page is the fixed syntax, import. I'll show it to you here that how I've done it. See here, less than percentage, @ page, import equal to whichever imports you want. Here automatically the imports will not come like how it comes in Java, like in your IDs. So here you must write the import within the quotes, like Java text asterisk. Why I included the Java text asterisk? Can anyone tell me? This package tells me. Yes, anyone? You have JDBC together, am I right? Yes. Have we?
Bhaiya, there is a lot of voice break from your side.
Now is it clear?
Yes, now it's clear. But in between, like voice breaks, like too much.
Okay. So did you get my question? I was asking why do I need to import this java.sql.asterisk? Yes. It is for the which programs? JDBC programs. Isn't it?
Yes.
Now you'll say yes. Anyways. Okay, so this was whatever imports you want to do. Where this will come at the topmost in your servlet. If this is your servlet, so where does it come? At the top. Then what do you have? You have your class. And this is what inside the class but outside the service method. For such things which is inside the class but outside the service method, that time you have to use this angular bracket percentage exclamation mark. Exclamation mark stands for what logical operation? Anyone? Which is the operation?
Not.
Yes. So not this tag. If you remove the exclamation, this is called a scriptlet tag. This tag that I'm showing here, this is called scriptlet tag, and this exclamation means not scriptlet, and not scriptlet means declaration tag. It is used to declare the data members or whichever methods you want, which are outside the service method and inside the class. You can have methods, data members, anything. And whatever should come inside your service method, that is where you do your actual logic, that taking the values from the HTML page and processing and then writing back to the page, that all things which are inside the service method will come inside the scriptlet tag. And here no exclamation sign means what? Scriptlet inside the service method, and not scriptlet means outside the service method. Okay, that is the meaning. Then inside the scriptlet, if you want to print something, it is equivalent to printing something inside your service method. How do you do that? Print writer obj equal to get writer, then obj.println, and this will get printed. So in the JSP, you have a feature of implicit objects. Means what? This obj that you can see here, which is coming from print writer, you don't have to create this object. Then this request object, that also you don't have to create. Automatically it will come, because see here, this is the service method, and whatever is inside the service method, like for example, all this is inside the service method. So all this highlighted thing in blue, whatever is over in this region, that is nothing but whatever is in this scriptlet tag region. Okay, this is the scriptlet tag, for example. So all this, whichever comes in the scriptlet tag, that will simply get pasted inside the service method. And whatever objects you usually create in the service method, that will come automatically. For example, I can show you over here. See this response object, I have not declared it anyway. I have not created this object, because response object is provided to me by the service method of the servlet. Here is the response object and the request object. So that will come automatically. I have to not create the object. I can use that object for all the different methods. Is it understood? Yes? Yes or no? At least if you want. Huh?
Yes.
Is it, I didn't hear you. Yes? Yes or no?
Bhaiya, again voice break.
There's no background noise. Is it background noise or is it voice break?
Voice break. Like I'll ask all other friends also. Like, is it the same problem with them also or not?
Yes, is it with you all also?
Yes.
I don't know, but yeah, everything is fine over here. Okay. Wait a minute. I'll change my headset. Now is it clear? Now is it?
Yes.
Okay, so let me know if there's any other voice break. It's strange, by the way. So did okay, I have to repeat this. So I was saying that you don't have to create the objects on your own, like this response object, that out object, like which you have it over here in your servlet. Here you have the out object, the object or whatever out. It is actually out, the print writer object. It is actually called as out, but we can call it anything in servlet. But if you're working with JSP, you need to be careful that what are your object names. Okay, for example, Just a minute. So these are some. Hmm, I'm not getting that actually. Okay, so actually the object names that are there are some standard names for the objects. Like for if you want to print something instead of obj, it is called as out. Print writer out is the object. So directly if you write out.println in your servlet, sorry, in your JSP, this thing will happen automatically. You don't have to create that out object. Similarly, if you want to have the request and response objects, then you don't have to create those objects. If you directly write response dot whatever method, then it will be done. Means response is the by default name of that object. Usually what is the case? Objects we name it, right? We have the liberty to call our object anything. We can say student or student obj, student abc, whatever, where student is the class name. Object can be any name. Am I right? We have the liberty to call our object anything. Is it correct?
Yes.
Okay, but here in what is it, JSP, you have some standard names of the objects. Okay, if you don't use the standard names, you will have to create it. So better way, use the standard names and call the methods on those objects. Okay, so this was about uh, service method and outside service but inside the class, and for imports the different tags that you have. Now what if there is one way to print inside the service method, that is out.println. Let me show it to you. So here, see this example, out.println, directly I'm writing. This is the another JSP page, which I'll show later, out.println. But if you want to minimize this as well, you don't want to write out.println, then you can write it this way. Triplet tag, that is your percent equal to, you must write now. I'll show it on the notepad, maybe font is a problem. So this is your basic scriptlet tag. Opening tag, you'll write your whatever Java code, and how you'll close it like this. Opening and closing. Opening tag, closing tag. Now, if you want the imports, then you have to write @page import. And they're used for other things also, not only imports. And within the quotes, you have to write your import. If it is outside the service method inside the class, then not, and you can create whatever data members like int a equal to whatever. And if you want to directly print, like this is your scriptlet tag, here if you want to print something, you can write directly out dot, just a minute, here you can write out dot println and whatever you want to print, just like a normal println function. If you want to minimize writing out.println, you can simply write this equal to, and suppose here you want to print hello, semicolon, of course. Okay, if you want to minimize writing this out.println, then you can simply write over here, you can either write the variable name, whatever you want to print, or you can write the hello within quotes over here. And then you can close the scriptlet tag by writing percent greater than symbol. So this thing and this thing both are same. You'll get the same output. Is it clear? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So these are basic 4 tags that will help you to write your Java code, and automatically, depending on the tag that you've used, that code within the tag will go in the proper place inside your servlet file, which is created automatically, that servlet file. Okay, then here what I've done is, while creating the front end and back end in the same page, okay, because it is JSP. So I have imported the JDBC package, means the package that is necessary for your SQL programs and all. Then I'm creating this connection object, prepared statement, result set. And then this is the code for that login and sign up thing that you can see on the front end. This is the form. And then this try catch we use, usually we write the JDBC code within the try catch, because there are different ways in which the exceptions may be generated. That is why try catch we use, we know that. Then this is the connection, driver manager, all that thing. So you can write it part by part. So maybe after designing this form, now you know that you have a input field for username and you have an input field for password. So name equal to username and name equal to password. This will help you to identify that input field and password field. So be careful what is the value of this attribute. Name is called as attribute, placeholder is called as attribute. So the value of this attribute is uname, that means username. You can call it anything, okay, not necessarily uname. And this is pass, okay. Make sure that it is meaningful. Like if you write abc, that will also work, but you need to remember that abc means it stands for username field. If you write uname, it is more understandable even for the user and whoever is checking your code also. So here now it is known that this is the input field for username and this is an input field for password. Now you can have your JDBC program where you're writing select. This is for the login actually. Let me go further for the registration. I'll show you. Same thing I've done. Here you have more fields for name equal to email, name equal to uname, phone number, and password. Now insert into all these details, insert them into the database. So insert into users is the name of my table, which has the columns uname, email, phone number, pass. Now these column names are created in the database SQL server here. I have created the table over here. I've created the table. And you can see the column names uname, email, phone number, pass. It can be anything. Those same names have to come over here. Okay, then only it will get inserted in the database. And what you're going to insert? Some values which you don't know currently. The user will enter them in the input fields. So you have to, we know that in the servlet, we have seen that we have an index.html page and we have a servlet. To grab the information from the index page, the HTML page to the servlet, we need the help of the name attribute of those um, input fields of the form. So this is at the front end. We are going to identify it with the name equal to uname. So request.get parameter, whatever value is there of this name. Here name is equal to uname, so here also uname. Here name is equal to phno, so here also phno. And you know how to insert it into the database in the column wise. First column is for username, as you can see here. First column, second column, third column, fourth column. Similarly, first, second, third, fourth, and whatever value is obtained from those input fields, I'm going to store it in the string variables. And those string variables also are uname, email, phone number, password. This also can be anything. For convenience sake, I'm naming everything the same thing. It will not give you any error. You can call this something else also if you want. So you name this string. This is the value. Whatever the user enters, that will come over here, which I'm going to store it in the uname, which is the Java string variable. And that variable holds the value actually, which I want to insert in my database. So I hope you're getting this flow. Okay, from one place to another place, you have to simply keep passing the value and then execute update. And then this is just for my knowledge. I'm printing something at my console. Like here you can see success. This system.out.println will print on your console, but out.println will print on your browser window, on your web page. Okay. This will help you to know that whether this code is reachable or not. Otherwise, somewhere else exception is getting generated, you don't know where. So for keeping track of that, I have a habit of in between writing such system.out.println statements. And once I know code is working perfectly, I will remove all this system.println statements. This is just for the developers' assistance. And then you close your connection. And then you have a submit button and then your JavaScript for the toggling operation and all that. So is this basic idea clear? How the data is fetched from the HTML front end and it is brought inside the Java, from the Java into the JDBC, and from the JDBC into the SQL, from the SQL into the database. And from the database, you can see it over here. So all this will happen internally. And I hope you appreciate the framework, this architecture that JSP is providing. It is not a joke that you can develop your front end here. You can have your back end also here. And internally, it is handling so many things that I just now listed. So is it clear till now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so is it interesting? Are you getting some knowledge from this or is it useless?
It is useful.
Yeah. So do you people know about another backend language? Like here we are using Java. Do you know about another backend language?
Python?
Yes, okay, Python also. And you have specific libraries or frameworks like Django and all. Anything else?
Spring.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Please repeat.
I am just guessing. Spring.
Okay, that is also Java framework only. So anything other than Java and Python? Any idea?
React or Angular?
Now that is also for front end to design the user components. I'm talking about backend language, all this logic and all. Using which language, other language you can implement? Any idea? Have you heard of PHP?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that is
Yes,
also
yes.
another backend language. Okay, there also you have tags. There the tag is not means here how was your tag? Your less than or greater than symbol and percentage. There you have less than greater than with question mark. So it depends on the tag. And same thing. There also you can have a bit of HTML in your page, and in between such tags you can use to include PHP. The only changes here instead of PHP there is Java. So the framework, the architecture, the how you implement it, all that is same. Only the language will change. And since you have studied Java, and I think we are more comfortable with Java as of now. So Java is a great language for backend. It provides more security also. I have listed the features in the first lecture of core Java. So many features of security Java gives us. So you can become a Java developer, Python developer, whichever you want. Uh, like for now, we are using Java. Each one has its own merits. So my suggestion is this was a very complex thing along with HTML, along with CSS and all that. For now, what you can do is you design your own simple form. If I say simple form in the sense, if you see here, I'll show you. This is a simple form. Only this much you design. Just your inputs that you can see here. This is the main thing that will give you the provision to enter the text. Input, type text. Input, type password. So you have input, type uh, different thing, date, time, such things also you have, submit and all. So you design at least this much. So at least this much of the HTML should be visible in your JSP page, and then JDBC you know how to implement, and you can nicely do it. Okay, are you feeling confident? Will you be able to do it?
Yes,
Yes.
I will
Yes,
try.
sir.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
it's actually very simple. Like first time you may be thinking how can I do it and all, but it's actually quite simple. And we have another half an hour, so I'll show you some more things. Now, if you want to travel from one page to another page, and another theoretical concept. See, now there may be so many users that who are using your web page. This is not for a single user that you've developed. Maybe for an organization having maybe 1,000 people. So this is user authentication, login and sign up and all. For the specific user, if he logs in or if he creates his account, whatever activity he does should only be visible to him. Next time he logs out and again logs in, whatever activity he has done or his progress, that should come for him only. That means if there are two users A and B, the progress of A should be visible only to A when he logs in and logs out, and progress of B should be visible to B only when he logs in and logs out. Means when he logs out the progress should not be visible, when he logs in it should be visible, but to whom? Only to A and B respectively. So how the server knows all this? Because also remember that this sending and receiving of data, that means from your client machine you are requesting these web pages which are on the server, and who is supporting Tomcat server. And server is on a separate machine. Actually, when you're developing and testing and all, you create a local server, that is Tomcat, on your machine, wherein you have your browser, that is the client on your machine, and the server, that is the person who provides you service, that is also on the same machine, so that it becomes easy. Otherwise you need two laptops, as I've told you before. But when you are the developer, you have your machine as acting as the server, or any machine acting as the server, and the clients will not be using your own server machine. They have their own machine. So that time you're going to request from your machine to the server for the required HTML, CSS, images, PDFs, whatever. So when you're going to request, once the request is initiated from the user to the server, it is a request. Okay, the user is going to request something. Soon as the request is sent, the user forgets that he has requested something. Okay, hear this carefully. Once the user sends a request, he forgets the very next moment that he has requested something. Means user in the sense the browser, the client, the machine which the client is using. The machine forgets. That is why HTTP protocol, using which the request and response is happening, using the HTTP protocol. Protocol means rules. According to which rules the request and response is happening. Those rules, that it is called as a protocol, which is a set of rules, and that protocol is stateless. Stateless means the very next moment it will not remember what it had done previously. Okay, once the request is sent, it doesn't know that it is waiting to expect some response. It sent the request over. It does not know that a response has to be sent back. It is waiting for a response that is not known by the client machine. So, to make it stateful means to remember these things, that request has been sent, you need to wait for a response. To remember these things, you have to use session management. Session management means your client machine will be given a particular ID by the server, that is called a session ID, and it will be stored on your client machine. Okay, that session ID which the server is giving your machine, the client machine, that will be stored in your machine as in the form of a cookie. Cookie means it is a storage unit which is local to your machine, which is available on your machine, wherein you can store some data like what are your preferences, whether you want the web pages in Hindi, Marathi, English, whether you want, whether suppose you might have observed that you are playing some game, and then after some time or after few days you open a particular browser, and there you get ads which are of that particular game. Or maybe you've shopped for some watches or some sunglasses, whatever, then everywhere you get to see the ads, even on YouTube, about those sunglasses and watches only, about different brands. Have you observed this?
Yes, it
Yes.
happens.
Okay, yes. This is how, why it is happening, because such information about your preferences and when you're logged in, when you're logged out, and many other things, they are stored on your local machine. And whenever you establish a connection with the server, this information is used by the server to provide the customized ads and all those other things, to provide the your own progress back to you. When you log out, the progress is saved with the server, and when you log in back, that progress comes back onto your machine so that you don't lose your progress. So this is called session management. So that your respective session, for you the session is this thing, for another user his session will be different. So to keep a track of the statefulness, to make HTTP protocol stateful and intelligent, you use this session management. So whenever you go from one page to another, even to send the data from one page to another, the if you don't use the session, it will forget that what data has to be sent, where it has to be sent, all that. So to go from one page to another, you store some data in a session, and in the other page you retrieve that data from that session. Now, before, all this was done locally, so that your cookies became too large to handle on your own system. That is why all this data got transferred onto the server, and you got an ID. For example, if you want to travel in a bus, the bus is your server. Uh, okay, I'll give you another example. Don't forget this bus thing. If you know about Starbucks, so you have a ticket, or any movie theater. If you are a regular member over there, then you show your ticket or your particular membership card, that is like your session ID. And based on that card, it will, the people over there have your information, like maybe your preferences, or you like juice or popcorn or whatever such things, so they know your preferences. That thing is stored, your preferences is stored on their computers. You only show your particular membership card which has certain details, or maybe orally you can give your details over there, and they'll come to know your choices and all that. So your preferences, your language preference, and all those things are stored on the server for each and every user. And depending on which card you show them, which session ID you get, depending on that session ID, they will transfer those details to you. Means they will provide you the service accordingly. Was this analogy clear? Have you understood how it happens?
Yes.
Okay. Is it clear? Should I repeat anything? Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so these things are very important and it's quite confusing initially if people don't explain it well. So, this is basics if you want to become a full stack developer. You need to know how these things happen internally so that you can have even security you can implement on your own also at times. So, this is important. And to switch between now, once I develop the login page completely, after logging in, I should go to another page, which is this page, which is under development, wherein if the email does not match, if the username and password does not match, I should show that user not found. If it matches, I should show them their whichever details. Okay, for example, I can show them their email ID because username and password are just for logging inside, and then inside you can see your other details which you have entered at the creation of account time. So I hope this much is clear. And I'll also show you the session part, how you can handle the session for specific users, how to store the particular information in a session. And once the session is over, you might have seen in your banking, online banking, net banking, suppose there is some inactivity on the web page. You do not pay much attention, or maybe you're opening some other page, or you just left your machine for suppose 30 minutes and you went somewhere. Then once again, when you come on that page, it shows that session expired and please enter your credentials again to log in. Have you seen such things?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So this is for security purpose. By default, some websites do not have this log off. Means this is what automatic logout like feature, right? It is automatically logging you out for security reasons. Otherwise, anyone will come in your absence and do something which you should not do on your account. So for security purposes, you have this. But some websites or some services, they are never logged out. Only if you log out, it logs out. Can you name such examples where there is no automatic logout? Even after 100 days, it will be logged in, or maybe minimum 1 week. Have you seen such things?
Gmail. YouTube.
Yes, very good.
Shopping
Very good example. Yes, you were saying something, Sonali. Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
I have one more example, the WhatsApp web which we have. If we click on the option "Keep me signed in," so whenever we click on like WhatsApp web, it will automatically connect us to the WhatsApp.
Yes,
So we don't
correct.
again have to log in again.
Yeah, and then from your phone you can click log out on whichever device, and then so it's an integration. Like why it is happening through your mobile and laptop. It is not that you're connecting your mobile with your laptop, maybe wireless or USB, not like that, because the server is the same. Only you're accessing it on different devices. WhatsApp, where we open usually on our mobile phones, but now there's a feature to open it on your desktop. So the server is the same. Only the device from which you're logging in is different. That doesn't mean that your phone is connected to your laptop. It only means you're using the same account on different devices. So yes, WhatsApp is an example, Gmail is an example. Another example is Facebook, Instagram, all your social media platforms. There, wherever you had stopped previously, maybe you go back to that page after 2 days also. It is possible. So it depends on which is your application.
Also, shopping app.
Yeah, shopping app. If you have stored something in your shopping cart and if you log out also, sometimes it retains it. That is because it has saved your progress on its own machine server. Yeah, so this is many such examples we have it. So in your session, if you want to store some data, means now why I'm saying you want to store, because you are the developer here. You are not the user. You means you can be the user also, but basically you are the developer. So if I want to send some data from one JSP to another JSP, I'll show you over here. So I'm using session as another object of the session class. HTTP session class has an object. As I told you here, the object names are standard. So session.set attribute and whatever email ID is there in the database that I've extracted. And we know this, we are giving it an identification using this string email. So set attribute identification, some string, anything you can write here, not necessary email, and the actual value. Here also phone number and its actual value. And then response.send redirect. You're going to redirect to the login.jsp page after successful login. So when you come here, when this thing comes, send redirect, when you encounter this line of code, it will go over here to your login page. And here, how you'll extract these values, session.get attribute using that identifier string. Here, the string name was what? Email. and the value stored means how you'll access it using this email. So same thing, using that email you can get attribute. Here what you're going to do, you're going to set attribute, and here in the next page you're going to get attribute. And once you get that attribute, you can store it in some variable and you can display that. So this is how you transfer data from one page JSP to another JSP page. Is it clear? Yes.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
syntax is same, like you have to remember it. There's no other option. Like, okay. So did you get some ideas, like any questions, any queries about front end, back end, anything you want to ask, you can ask now, and put your attendance in the chat box. Any doubts? And suppose you want to ask something which you don't want to get recorded, like if you want to ask any other doubt which you don't want it to get recorded, then you can definitely tell me. I'll switch off the recording and then you can ask me. But preferably ask them while it is recorded so that others' doubts also get cleared when they see the recording. Any doubts? If no doubts, you can leave this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.